Hello and welcome back to Artful. Today we'll be using our watercolours, where I'll be showing you how I painted a simple still life. To begin with, I'm using some washi tape to make a crisp border for my painting. I'm going to be sketching this odd assortment of objects that I found at Artful HQ, and I'm going to break them down into much simpler shapes. I'm using a very light pencil to sketch out my design so that when I paint over it, the pencil line won't be visible through my watercolour. And even though the pencil itself is very light, keep the pressure that you apply to the pencil as minimal as possible, as this will stop any unwanted pencil marks showing up in your finished painting. For these preliminary sketches before a painting, I like to keep my sketches as loose as possible. You can always refine these details further on when you're actually painting. For the background, I'm using a dark navy paint, adding a lot of water to the pigment so that my colour is a lot more washed out. For the green in my cacti, I'm first adding some darker earthy greens to the more circular cactus, before charging some ochre pigment into that green paint whilst it's still wet to create that nice subtle gradient and shading. I'm mixing in some light yellow for the smaller cactus, adding some water to my brush to give it this light, much subtler green. And for our larger cactus, I've added some dark blue pigment to my green watercolours in the tin to create this nice turquoise teal colour. For the plant pots, I'm mixing together my orange pigment along with a dark navy. Adding a bit of water to this colour helps to create this lovely terracotta colour. For the wooden cabinet, I'm mixing together some ochre and some dark brown. And for the pillar, a nice rich dark grey to help it contrast more against our background. Before using a lighter version of this colour to colour the sofa. Once our initial base layer is dry, we can work in our details with darker colours. That's one of the great advantages of mixing paint in a tin. You can reactivate your pigment using some water, making it very easy to make darker versions of the colour you've already used, simply by adding darker tones to the swatches that you've already made. You'll see that I'm adding more details to our wooden cabinet and our terracotta plant pots by using these darker versions of our base colours. I'm adding some darker shadow to the left of my still life subjects. This is because light is hitting them from the right. Speaking of which, it's time to paint in our cast shadows. To do this, I've just added some more dark pigment to that grey background colour that we began our painting with. And once this is finished, I can start to paint in our more fiddly precise details for our 3 cacti. And again, always consider where the light is hitting the objects we're painting. I would love to know how you've got on with your Artful watercolours, so please tag me in your watercolour paintings on Instagram at ArtfulBox. Just adding a darker version of our turquoise teal paint on top of our larger cactus. I'm using that ochre paint to paint in the prickly spines of the cactus at the front of our composition. Carefully does it. These smaller details really reward patience and a steady hand. With the same paint, I can start to colour in the gold coloured lampstand. These flat, angled paintbrushes are great for painting parallel lines like this. I'm adding an additional darker orange on top of our plant pots. I'd noticed that some of my details got a bit washed out once the paint started to dry, as well as a darker grey to better define the texture of the sofa. And a lighter grey to colour in a flat, consistent wash for the floor. Time to use that steady hand again, this time to add in some darker brown shadow to our gold coloured lampstand, as well as a dark grey for the left side of our light bulb. Finally, carefully remove your washi tape to reveal your border. I won't lie to you, this bit always makes me feel a bit nervous, but today it's plain sailing, our artwork's finished. This took me around 40 minutes to paint in total. If you enjoyed this video, then like and subscribe to our YouTube or visit artful.co.uk to see more of our art tutorials. Thank you very much again for watching, and I'll be back again soon with a new video.